Well, greetings everybody. Welcome to the Inworld review. We've had a couple of, well, we haven't had a couple of weeks off. We had 1 week off to be precise, didn't we? But we're back to sort of normal this week, and we'll be looking at places and art and stuff like that on the hypergrid, which of course is the system that connects loads of different grids together, provided they're based on the Open Simulator platform. So, my name is Mal Burns. You probably know that already if you're watching. And I'm host. Sitting next to me on my right, we have James Atlloud, who's the tech wizard and sort of chats now and again. Welcome, James.
Thank you, Mal. I'm twiddling as directed.
Okay. And sitting on my other side to my left, of course, is my regular co host, Thirza Ember. So, welcome, Thirza.
Thank you, Mal. It's nice to be back.
All right. Thirza, of course, is also the woman behind Hybrid Safari in many ways, so we'll be covering a little bit of that shortly. But we also have a special guest today with us, and it's Nyx Breen. So welcome, Nyx.
Well, thank you very much, Mal. Thank you, Thurza. And of course, twiddling away, James. I appreciate being brought on the show. It's a great time, and I'm here to answer all questions.
All the questions, right. Nyx is, of course, well, he's from all over the place, if I remember rightly, but he's, at the moment he's wearing his avatar from Pangea Grid. And in fact, some of the stuff we're going to be showing you today is one way or another, different regions, but they're all they have in common is that they are on the Pangea Grid. So, we'll be chatting to Nick for about an hour or so. We're just going to open a little bit. We have no hypergrid happenings this week because of getting ourselves together again, I think is the word, isn't it? But we have a couple of news page items, and then after we've talked to Nick, we'll actually, near the end of the show, we'll have a brief look at the last couple of weeks' visits in Hypergrid Safari itself. But to get us going for the beginning, on the screen here, showing my desktop basically, a post from New World Notes, which is Hamlet Orr's blog. Used to be largely about Second Life, but he does actually have some news because a veteran developer is creating a new Second Life viewer for well, it says for Unity. What it means is built in Unity. And oops, that was clever. um, Basically, it's called the Crystal Frost viewer, and it's the same. You know, you see the world just as you do in Firestorm, and you've got all the tricks, but but the actual viewer itself is built in Unity, which means it's a much better looking client, and has the potential for adding in extra plugins to the Unity interface. To give you an idea, just very briefly, on TV, on video, it's probably not so obvious, but this is a sort of before and after thing. The picture at the top is a photograph taken inside Firestorm, and the picture below is the same photograph, more or less, taken inside the Crystal Frost viewer, the early alpha of it, so to speak. And as you can tell, the HUDs and things like that are all still there. There will obviously be differences. For example, Firestorm seems to pick up what's inside that room a little bit better than the Unity version here. But when it comes to the lighting and the meshes, and which I think that van is a mesh, obviously you see the Crystal Frost viewer um, looking better, shall we say. So it's a long way off yet, but basically this will work. It's Libra Metaverse or something, a back-end library for the most up-to-date Opensim grids, in fact. So it does look like she's been focusing on Opensim in building this rather than Second Life, but obviously, as a viewer, it would presumably be compatible with both. You can find her in world as Berry Bunny, or as Callisti 2038 here on here on Discord, I should say, um, and yeah, and something else technical. This OS grid, which is actually where our studio is at the moment. Um, There's somebody's actually made a script that runs Chat GPT, which I'm sure you've all been hearing of, inside the virtual world, inside, well, any open sim, I guess. It travels with you as a script. I gather what you do is you download the script, and you use this script to create objects that will actually run the chat in the normal chat channels. I'm just going to quickly move to this is how it looks on the website. Um, uh, yeah, this is one for the techies anyway, but it is quite important. Although exactly how much use you would really want to make of this chat GTP thing, I don't know, but it can be done. So you'll find this at forums.osgrid.org, and the previous post is at nwn.blogs.com. And then finally, we don't hear so much from about Opensim these days, but Maria Koroloff at hypergridbusiness.com, that's hypergridbusiness.com, has written her Opensim in review, looking back at 14 years of coverage and what's next. Probably worth reading, especially if you ever do pop over to Hypergrid Business, because she's she's talking about all the other stuff she does, and the main stuff that interests her now. There's certainly some overlap here with OpenSim and stuff, but also a lot of these newer sort of things coming down the line. So it's quite a long blog, just telling you all where she's at, I guess. It's a long time ago now, but of course she was once a co-host on this program, or another version of it anyway. And finally, I will mention it because I didn't get it in elsewhere, but another virtual world called ScienceSpace, blog.sine.space. They are in the middle of a special Valentine's week. And of course, there's a lot of connection between OpenSim and ScienceSpace, not least because ScienceSpace is run by Adam Frisby, who's one of the founders of OpenSim as well. So a bit of cross-purpose talk there anyway. But yeah, then we'll be moving on to some posts from Hypergrid Safari, but we'll be doing that a bit later in the show. So meanwhile, we will move across to Nyx, our guest today, and whoa, don't really know where to start. We've got this. We're going to have a lot of film to show you today. All of it, of course, is silent, running behind us. Almost a sort of psychedelic backdrop to our talk.
Will you sing? Will you sing, Mal, while it's playing?
Sorry?
I said, will you sing while it's playing?
No.
Okay. Jimmy, hum.
We're denied. Oh.
I could play music behind it if I wanted to, but that would just, it's okay if it's fairly low. Don't quite know where to start here. I'll start with the video, sort of in the. Oh no, that's the wrong section in the order. Hey.
And today's contestants win.
What, James, James, or was it you, Nyx?
That was me. That was James.
Thank goodness for that. I thought, oh, we got a prankster on the show.
We just can't have indecision on the Inworld review.
No,
That's
it
true.
puts us in jeopardy.
Sure.
That's right. Let's decide about this now.
Right. Okay. Running behind us here, not in any particular order, as far as I can tell. Oh yes, from the bottom up actually. Right. Oh gosh, golly, I do recognise the avatar in this picture. This is one of the first videos I was recording. You'll know better than me which of the three regions, whether it's Bubbleland or I think it's Bubbleland. This, but it was. But I'm going to start playing it so you can see.
Should I do a little setup about the whole deal then?
Yep. What I'm about to say is sort of. Tell us first, really, about what you're doing at the moment. In other words, this build and the adjacent builds and stuff like that, and its purpose. I noticed on the slideshow, you've got a load of slides called monument, for example. And I thought, well, this is all very abstract. When I think of a monument, I think of something solid. And I can't find anything solid when I was flying around your world. But do tell us the
It's
whole
an,
idea behind it.
it's an illusion of the mind, Mal.
Yeah,
What
that would
all
be.
the pieces I have up on Pangea Grid are 3D art experiences on a level that is a 4x4 VAR. So I completely fill them from one side to another and all the way up until they're appropriately sized, and you get to go into it and experience it. So, as we all know, everyone sees the world a little bit differently in real life, and especially in virtual life, since we're not all on the same viewers and things. But
Yeah.
what does occur is you can go into this, stand in one place, and not move your viewer and see things occur. Now, you're careening through these pretty quick, so it's not as always as confusing as this looks. Well,
Yes,
it does. And the challenge is it sits 3 VARs right in a row, right beside each other. So when you're in the middle one, the Bubble Land one, which you're showing now, you can see across into the next sim to the right or the left of it, depending on which one you're in. Bubble Land was a creation that Veritas Very McMasters and I worked on for Pangea after we had done the original one, Dreams of the Dead. It was based on, the celebration of Mexico of family and stuff. So we had done that one, and then Bubble Land came up, and you had mentioned monuments. Monuments occurred to me. I was out there in Monument Valley way back in the 90s, and you're so small and so isolated. If you get on the ground level of monuments and start looking up, you'll understand why it's called monuments. But each one of these is something that you can go in, and some of them are extremely relaxing. You can go in there and just zone out. You don't need to worry about it. You're focusing on the bright and shiny right now. But there are sections, well, that's all right. That's what attracts. But there are sections in there, especially in the monument one, where it's just like, oh my God, this is gorgeous looking. I make it so that when you view them as an avatar, not camming around like in a film here, they're far enough away that the movements aren't that fast, because it is bright lights and flashing and movements, so that can be a challenge for some people. So what I've developed are, when I go, a skybox or locations you can go and stand and just turn your avatar around to look and pivot up or pivot down, and you'll see different things occurring, and you can go back to it or move 20 meters away and turn and have a completely different effect. All these developed originally over on the 8 effects grid of mine over on Alternate Metaverse, where I started making them up above my region. When we had the HG Safari tour, Thirza came over and did a quick look at everything with a bunch of people. They got to see those effects, and they were single pieces sitting on 4x4. I then developed another sim over on AMV called Immersive, which is just a single sim, and there's about 30 of them. You can TP up through all the way up to 10,000 meters and see different effects. Then once you get in there and you learn how to use your viewer properly, you want to draw it all the way out when you're looking at a massive view of everything. You want to draw it back in when you're inside of something that's tight and close, so that you don't get overwhelmed with texture lag with these things. But I try to keep all the sims as low as possible with scripts and keep it clean so that people can come in and enjoy the experiences. They're artistic. They're made for you to think what you want to think about it. What did you get out of the experience? And I've had people tell me different things, but a lot of people tell me, and I've seen it when I did the Opensims Art Fest back last year, where viewers would come and there had to be over 15, 20 people that spent as much as 20 minutes or more inside of this just looking at stuff. So that's the type of art it is. It's an immersive 3D artscape that has never been done in Opensim, Second Life, anywhere on a scale this big. So
Well,
you
I
go
have
in
to
and you,
say the complexity of like the prims, the invisiprims, and mesh and stuff. I'll come to that. You can tell me a bit more about that later. But
mm-hmm.
the mix of all these things and the absolute scale of it, I mean, it's it's almost like once you're in there, whether you're gone right into one of the spheres or whether you're looking at a distance, nothing ever seems quite the same twice. And
That's the whole concept.
particularly what you said. I mean, it's in pictures or video or anything else, it's really impossible to give people an idea of the scale of this because there's no reference point. But when you are on the ground, as you said, looking straight up at the sky, it's just like all this just goes on up and up above you forever. And
It's a
that's
massive piece. They're
yeah,
enormous pieces that are totally different than what's being done with art. And
yeah,
Pangea is pushing hard to make art a prime reason as to why you want to go visit their grid.
right.
There's a lot of artists on it with a lot of different stuff that's quite unique and different.
The other great difference, as you hinted at too, and I noticed this while I'm filming, sometimes I would just stay put and freeze on a frame. But things kept happening. I didn't need to move the camera. The colors were changing and stuff like that. And then at other times, of course, I'm trying to whiz around impatiently. Just
Well,
but the way you do it, I mean, is if people cam around, they get one effect. If they just stay put and watch, they get another effect entirely. So.
well, the reality is these things are set up for you to walk around with your avatar, go explore. You can see right there, there's a transporter on the ground.
Yeah.
All right, and if you go to that transporter, you're going to get a view of things that are completely different looking as to where if you were up above in a skybox or on a platform somewhere looking at the view like that. I spend quite a bit of time traversing it. There's a great example of how big it looks.
Yeah.
I spend quite a bit of time traversing these things with my avatar to see how the view looks as you move around. And the other thing to do is to fly through these. The only places you're going to bump into anything is when it's a platform. I make that solid. And my advice to everyone, if you're on a platform, stay on the textures.
Otherwise, you've got a long fall.
Yeah, you do. And some of the textures are alpha'd. You don't see it across the whole prim. It looks like it's clear. But you could still walk across it if you see texture around you. And then they all have got, and this is where we got the name for this. Very had a prim device you could use called the love bubble. And it would take and float around in the circle. So we extended it, changed the look of it, and you click on it, and you were in it earlier, Mal, when you were going around, and you could just sit in that with a couple and have a ride through this thing. We're
Yeah.
going to do one. It's going to go through all three of them. We're working on the sim crossovers right now on it.
Later on in this film, or one of the films, I do actually, what is it, the Carnival of the Dead bit, the other sim on the other side, I get a little bit of that in. But I remember actually from at the Opensim Community Conference, we had an outward bound safari, and Thirza, of course, took us. We interviewed you about that particular sim, which is
Exactly.
again. We'll see a bit of it coming up here, but yeah, that was pretty spectacular hint of what this was going to be like.
This is just a place to go see something different. We do have events inside of them where a DJ or a singer will come, and that's all fun, but I highly recommend you go explore. Click on the teleporters, grab out of one of the givers, and they'll easy enough to spot a folder with landmarks in it and go to them and then explore around the landmarks and just see different effects because I've put a lot of optical illusions
Yeah,
into this so that there's somewhere you can walk in one direction and you turn around and there's a whole scene that you didn't see that you walked through.
it's behind
So
you instead of in front of you.
right, it's all perception and viewing of basically alpha layered textures or alpha layered mesh is what I do. And then what type of script I put in to change the colors or the flow rate or
Yeah.
the spin rate, rotation rate of them all depends on making it try to look harmonious.
Oops. Got stuck at the end there. Right. Yeah. There were bits of this. I mean, it's totally different technology, of course, but there were because of the capacity to actually zoom in, be it with camera or with avatar, for a giant sphere. And then when you're inside it, you realize, just massive way to go to even get to the middle. But it reminds me of that old, but fractal viewers. Remember when they came out? You
Yes.
just look at, you'd start with maybe a photograph of a leaf, but then you zoom in and zoom in until you entered the fractal sphere, and you just ended up going in and in and in. And
I love fractals.
there was nowhere to stop. You just go on and on forever, as it were. Most of the fractal engines just never run out of any things to generate. All based on a single starting point. Well,
Again, this is not as chaotic looking inside of it as with the camera viewing. It's all I've got to emphasize with this.
Yeah, of course. So tell me about any, have you got any like inspirations? I mean, forget for a minute about what this is and what you've done.
Sure. Inspiration comes a lot to me. The first one, Dreams of the Dead, was, Day of the Dead is coming up. And I live in the city of Boston, so there's a large Latin Hispanic population, so it's a big celebration.
Right.
And I was out shooting street photography, one of the type of arts I do, and a new place called Lapita's that Erasmus, a friend of mine, owns. And someone had done a great street-style image of, Day of the Dead masked girl. And I caught it in an image and a reflection. And they weren't open yet. They were still building it. And the bar had these great bubble land looking colors. The purples, maroons, that sort of thing. And so I put images of that up on, my Instagram, things like that. And that got me thinking about doing a theme-based thing for the Dreams of the Dead, Muerto de Serenos. And what I did was I applied what I had gotten from that inspiration to it. That took that build, it's right next to Bubbleland, over to the Opensim conference. And Very and I did a talk on that, and what we did is I took film of it, took it into a real-life gallery that I curate street photography for in the Boston Seaport area. And we had about 120 people show up, and we showed the film on glass walls, on the walls, floor, and part of the ceiling of the gallery itself. That was our little bit, but that was an inspiration for the original one. The Bubble Land one came, and we decided I need to do something a little bit different. Barry helped with that a bit, and it took and changed into that theme look and the color theme for Bubble Land. And then Monuments is a collection of a bunch of, you're seeing monuments in the distance now. There we go. A bunch of different pieces I had done that no one had seen, because everyone goes to the bars, everyone goes to the clubs, everyone goes to the live singing. There's more to Opensims and Second Life and all that than just that. So these are the type of places you can see how large it is. If you stand in one place, you're going to get a view. It's going to move around you. It is totally relaxing. Well, I would say 95% of the people that experience it, that's what they come away telling me. I was just in awe, and all I had to do was just stand there and turn a little bit or walk a little bit and see it differently each time. So inspiration comes from real life for most of these pieces that I do.
Yeah, I remember that. Obviously, it's something we don't recreate here, unfortunately. But your choice of music too.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's really great. I mean, I should probably have recorded a bit of music on some of them just to play it faintly behind us. But as I suppose viewers can imagine, when you see something like this, whether you're going to stand in it, camera around in it, fly in it, whatever, having a suitable music to go with the experience is pretty important. It's chill. It's sort of chill out, really. I suppose
it is a chill beat station. I'll end up sticking it in my profile for those that go look for me as stuff, but I can't access it right now on
Yeah, obviously.
the space that we're in. But it's out of England. They sound like you, Mal, when the DJ does talk.
Oh dear, they're in trouble, aren't they?
Nothing wrong with that. I firm believer the English have good taste in music.
Oh, thank you.
I worked in the music industry for 28 years. So, yeah. And that would have been all club and soul, and when punk came in, and new wave, all the way through, all that stuff. Trance, techno, all of it.
It sounds like we've
And
been on the same journey in terms of time lapse.
just about, I'll even say I know a lot about Northern Soul.
Oh, God. No, actually, I don't. I don't. That is one. There's a bit of a north-south divide here in the UK, and I probably know more
definitely,
about,
yeah.
I know more about American soul than I do about Northern soul in the UK.
Oh,
but
Northern Soul is American Soul. I
yeah,
loved it.
true.
I
Yeah.
teased all the Brits. I'm in a group called SoulfulDetroit.com, and I'll tease the Brits. And I go, all Northern Soul is 70s disco for the Brits. Oh, no.
I just literally earlier, about 2 hours ago, I was listening. Do you remember a DJ over here called Robbie Vincent?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, the good old timer. He's on a jazz station now, and he gets an hour every Sunday to go back into the past, and it's delightful. It's not quite as good as the blues, but it's
Oh, there's nothing wrong with the blues.
yeah, he digs up all this old stuff, and it's
I
wonderful.
just did a photo shoot in real life for a guy called Brooks Young, who on blues and rock charts has got the top album. And single, it may not be now, but it was when I did it, and that was a few weeks ago. What do you call it? Supply Chain Blues is this song.
Appropriate, isn't it? Appropriate for the current time, anyway.
So now you're filming inside of monuments.
Right. In fact, yeah, I've cameraed in from, I think, Motherland, actually. Yeah.
Oh, you were in Bubble Inn. Yeah, you crossed over.
Yeah. It was impossible to really tell where I crossed, but I mean, I took a break and went into the map mode, and I positioned my avatar right on the board, and then I got an idea of which way I was facing, so I sort of just turned around until I could see very clearly what was ahead of me and the adjacent.
But you could see there were platforms in there to stand on and stuff, and this one goes up quite high. Quite high. There's a whole different thing up above than the vibe on the ground in the first level. This one has no surrounds on it. It's just open. So when you look at it, unless you're looking at the other Sims, it's black and stars. So it's got a whole different effect to it.
Yeah, there's just the odd bit, and it's not odd. It fits, but it's of course where you have got those boundaries. You got it's like a effect of scaffolding, isn't it? It's not solid, but it's just there. It seems to be where it separates the two regions.
It's the line of demarcation for sure.
Yeah. But it blends. I don't know. It blends with the very liquid feel of everything else. There's the solids in there, as it were.
This is a place that's open for people to come explore, especially if you want to take pictures.
Yeah.
It's a whole different trip shooting pictures inside of this joint. And we're also open if someone wants to come and perform inside of it, in a different experience. The grid owners on Pangea are completely open to doing that. We're working on trying to put together disc jockeys from across the world to do an international party one time.
That might fit. Thirza, you've been very quiet today so far, but of course we have it's not really fully announced yet, but we have a European international thing coming up in October in Opensim, which embodies the various international countries, doesn't it?
Can you leave that one piece up? Because it's amazing how this turned into being, one little loveliness can be no more.
Yeah, this is
And I had this in here at the beginning of this. And so must beauty bow her in perfect head because a dream has joined the wistful dead. And to have my partner in crime, in love, in creation, pass away during this time, it's almost prophetic.
That was absolutely tragic, and the nature of it too is just the ripples from her loss is sort of
It amazed me how many
ran through
people
the
have
whole of the
reached
community. Yeah,
how many people have reached out that I have no clue who they are, but how she affected them.
yeah,
So Bubbleland is dedicated to her.
wonderful. What I was I think we'll pause here for a second. I did ask you if it was okay to
Yes,
show
you
the
may.
there, which is which is actually a tribute to Veritas. I think we
That
featured
was
this
made
one.
by Ampathal artist.
Right,
Yep, he
that's right.
put this together.
Yeah, which is great. And then after this, we'll maybe move to the slides you brought, and then finish with a few extra clips beyond that. But yes, this basically is Veritas is very much your partner in every way in the projects and your life, I guess. So
Mm-hmm.
and this, as I say, the ripples of her loss have gone everywhere. But this was a tribute to a lovely piece, and of course, it's uh, I forget the build. That was a Village of the Damned. It's a Day of the Dead thing. A region in the background there. You can tell by the sort of carnival type masks. But let's play it.
Mm-hmm.
We have audio on this, so yeah.
Bless you, Annie. Bless you.
That was wonderful. Just beautiful.
Yeah, lovely. Very haunting, lovely music with that as well. A very sad loss, and our thoughts are with you. I mean, it's not that long ago, so it must be still very
23rd of December,
Yep.
yeah, very large. Yeah, Christmas Eve, for God's sake.
6:43 in the morning.
Yeah. Ah, I don't know what to say really. It's just
There's
so
nothing to
so
say.
sad. There is nothing to say. It's just so sad, of course. Yeah,
Thank you for putting it up.
Yeah.
yeah. The,
Alrighty,
there we are.
Bubbleland.
Yeah.
We tr-
We'll come back to. I've got the last 4 clips here, I guess, where that the still here is just a starting point. Maybe we should move because it's a bit different. Take a break and move to the slides that you brought with you. Being still
Excellent.
images, these of course give us a kind of better idea in some ways of what's going on there. So you know how to pull them forward and back and all that sort of stuff, I guess. So
Yes, I do.
let me get you talking through them. It starts with it's a title screen here for Bubble Land and Pangaea, isn't it? So, yeah.
That's when we took and had the opening for it, and we had a memorial for about 84 or 5 individuals came through it that day to visit it and explore and have a good time. And the only part he was there in spirit was that our DJ was caught in traffic outside of Berlin and couldn't get in there in time. But Lampy handled it great. He had a great station. We did a more of a chill beat with a dance type theme to it, so it all worked well. So Bubberland, once again, is their interactive, immersive 3D art experience. There I am, sitting on one of the Bubble Love rides, and it'll take and bring you 600, 700 meter arc completely around and through it. Some of the things you'll go into, and some of the things you'll view in a different way. Alrighty.
Was that
now,
a carpet?
Give you...
A carpet you were sitting on?
Yeah, it's pillows.
Pillows.
What
okay.
I did is I
yeah.
put an alpha texture on them that matches the walls and stuff, so you could see them and not see, and you can see through them. That's all. And two people can sit in it, and it goes through. Monuments on Immersive 3 on Pangaea. It's also the newest virtual experience that's coming up. Get that young kid there, standing showing off on one of the platforms what it looks like. There's a lot of movement, there's a lot of light that changes, but it's set far enough away from most people. I've only had a handful, and all the things I've done say I can't take it. But they come in and try these on a bigger level, and they work for them. All right, so we're sitting, as you can see the colors along the bottom. That's a railing, and you're looking into the monuments experience. There's probably about a dozen different sections that are all put together so that when you're in them, you've got a completely different view, an experience of what's going on while you're there. It's from another location looking into it, and you're looking across a 4x4 VAR, so 16 original SL Sims, 1,024 meters by 1,024 meters.
My goodness.
That's how big
space
you are in. Good?
Yeah, I'll interrupt there. I mean, you did just sort of explain it anyway, just so any of our viewers that don't actually know what we mean when we say VAR. If you imagine a standard sort of region in Second Life, or even initially in Opensim, a VAR file actually allows you to have squared units of to make much bigger regions. So you can have like a 1 or a 2x2 or a 3x3, where the total, of course, comes to 9, 16, etc., etc. But you can have really vast areas, and you don't have to worry about what we call the crossings between the simulators.
Exactly.
But something that I didn't know till I was talking to you the other day, which is a discovery for me, is that you can now put VAR files adjacent to each other like you can normal regions. Now, when I had a 5x5, 25 region VAR file, and I kept on having to expand it because I couldn't make another one and put it adjacent at the time. But now apparently you can. So I was really pleased to find out that. And in fact, Monuments here is, of course, adjacent to both Bubble Land and the Dead.
Dreams of the Dead, yes.
Yeah. Which to me, for something that size was, unattainable when I was doing it. So it's great news. Yeah.
You could take and fly through all three of them. If you put your camera in one and back it all the way through, you can back and then pull forward as you've locked your viewer in. So there's a bunch of different ways to experience them all. I have platforms set up right on the region borders, so that you can look into one or turn and look into the other one. So it's quite unique, and I'm working on an 8x8 for something that's going to be really insane.
Wow.
That's coming later. I do work fast, but not fast enough for that big boy. But here's one of the experiences called Data Streams that was over on 8 Effects, Immersive on AMV. I pulled it in. I think Thirza, you saw this one when you did the tour.
Yes, I think we did, yes.
Remember how the floor moves, the lines on it and stuff? It looks like it climbs up the ring of the planet and all that stuff.
That's right.
So sitting inside of there, it's a whole different look and experience. You can see the top of my head, just to give you an idea how big the thing is. And this is big. It's bigger than a normal sim. Come on, res up. Then just different effects I do at different levels, as you can see. And the red things and white things and blue things, I made them look like comets. There's a section in there where they just flow. It's an experience from Immersive that you walk through it in one direction and you turn around the other and you see a completely different view. It's just how you take and view the alpha, what I call alpha prims or alpha mesh, textures that are not complete. They have clear sections on them, and you get a different view. This is a landing port in one of the places, and you walk out to the edges and you experience the whole thing. You don't see it until you move across it. Holograms, single particle projections, which are a lot of fun. I've used those a few times. This is the first 3D art piece where I've used holograms in them. They're, this size. I do use it on Dante's Inferno. For anyone that does not want to celebrate Valentine's Day, Dante's Inferno is open for skating, and it's like this. Even people in hell want to ice skate. You get ice skates, you'll get an X speed HUD, which will multiply the speed of your avatar by 2, 3, or 5 times, and you skate across Dante's lowest level of hell, solid sheet of ice with skulls embedded into it, or up across the volcanoes, up the lava fields, so that
when you describe it as an alternative to Valentine's Day, you are not joking.
It truly is, but it is
Absolutely.
it is one of the most fun experiences, especially skating and skating fast. Because if you go towards the skulls, they're the only things that are solid other than the platform floors. You will jump in the air and go 30, 40. I've gone over 100+ meters in the air while you're skating and land. It's a fun thing. I enjoy those type of things, but not everyone is. If you're up for it, there is that. Alrighty. It's the skybox. You're looking down into monuments. That's where the opening party will be. So you can see they're very far in the distance. Nothing's up close flashing in front of you. It moves nice and slow. The rotation of things, the speed of things changing colors. It's all nice and even and slow.
When I came over, before I started filming and stuff, we were on the platform, weren't we? This looks very much like it. Like the avatar there is standing right next to the window looking into monuments.
Right. Yeah. And half the floor is solid, the other half is a glass floor. So if you're in any of those tall buildings that do that now, the thing out in the Grand Canyon where you walk that piece, it's that experience, which is quite fun. And you can look up and you can look down.
I get vertigo, so please.
That's why this.
The one that horrifies me most is those two. I forget where it is. Some Middle East somewhere, I think. There's 2 skyscrapers, and they're connected by a glass, bridge.
In Indonesia. Yeah.
The glass bridge has got a swimming pool on it. So you swim in the pool and you look down and you're looking down. Oh God, the nightmare.
That's
I never heart
crazy.
attack. It sounds. I could probably watch it on film, but never get.
I think that's in Kuala Lumpur, is where that is. You're talking about.
Like it. Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
The piece that you're seeing here was an individual piece that's actually on a couple of people's grids. They liked it so much, so I incorporated it into this, and you go inside this with a TP, and the floor and the walls move towards you. And all these things are inside. So there are places that are extremely calm, relaxing, and like, ooh, what is this type of feel. That's part of it in the bottom center of it. You can see the outside. All I did was take a helmet or a motorcycle racer, rip it apart, put back together a new configure and add textures to it to get it to give that appearance.
Yeah, the texture's great.
It's a good trick
This
deconstructing to construct, isn't it?
that's all I do with these things. It's a lot of that. And this is one of the main art pieces inside of it. You know, it's about women breaking the chains that have held them down. Is what it's about. So you go in there and you can see it, and it's got a retro theme to it because they're all textured in like 1950s sci-fi space art.
Was this deliberately like related to what's it, 12 Billion Rising thing, or is
I shot pictures in Boston. They were all doing that. Yeah, inspiration comes from real life for anything. You know, unless you go see something here virtually and that inspires you. Then again, another big platform. This is higher up. This is where I start to get into these squirrely type things that I've become infatuated with. That I actually took one, shrunk it down some, and I wear it as an attachment. I go to Friday nights AMV, a thing called Prana. It is the most flipped out, insane looking article and mesh event that you'll see. It's all techno dance music, and people make new particles every week and bring them. It's crazy looking. And here they are a little farther up. You can see the star where you'd be standing in the middle of the image. And as you cam away, over 1,000 meters away, the thing's still surrounding you. There's a section where there's Animesh dances, and you're in the middle of them.
Right. Yeah.
That must have flipped you out when you first saw those, Mel.
Yeah, but the funny thing was that later on when I was filming, I could just not find them for love of money until you said. So I actually came out of filming mode, and IMD said, "Can you get me back to the avatar place?"
Yeah, this is a different one than the one you were in. This is on.
Yeah.
These are all dancing, and the fun thing to do with this is you go to World and reset, the dance animations for everybody. World resync animations, and they'll all line back up, and then little but slowly they all start to get out, being synced. As you watch it, it just becomes, ooh, look at this. This is wow looking, and some of them are linked so that they'll dance like a set of 3 or 2. We'll dance together, and then like 5 or 6 are dancing a different dance, and slowly you let them set, they'll all come back to being set straight again. There's something about the scripts, because I've done that with, I've got a place called the Light Museum, where it's all light art that I did, and there's 5 swimming fish, and I'll take and break them up on purpose so that none of them are linked in the cycle of turning in a rotation, and eventually they'll all link back up, and then eventually they'll all break back up. So this someone smarter than me could explain that with scripting.
Yeah, it's actually intrigued me. On the news stage behind here, I got 2 cats, and most of the time they're mimicking each other, which is actually quite affectionate. Sort of one sits down, the other one copies. Because it's the same animation. But it is funny how over time the synchronicity of them breaks down a bit. So, after a while, one cat is not actually really copying the other one anymore. It's got a life of its own. And eventually.
Exactly.
And, I always assumed it's like line dancers, the animations stay in sync, but they don't. They don't.
Not at all, yeah. Alrighty. Another view of this, because this is quite mesmerizing when you see this in life, virtual life. You're up there standing and just camming back a little bit. They're above you, beside you, and below you. If you line them all up, every one of them will be like the chorus line, at Macy's. They're all kicking and doing their bit at once, but slowly they all devolve and go into different things. And then more of looking around. This is called 3 Rabbits. I got a couple of rabbit animations up there that wander around. It's a great place to just look and see things from a distance. Then another view from a distance. Now the background wall that's the rainbow colors sweeping is Bubble Land. And we're in immersive, and you can look across and see into it from that shot. And then another section where I've got some other animations going where the effects in the background move differently. And
these are like stick figure
common
advertisements.
thing found. Didn't do anything to them but made them red. They were black. I made them red. Let them do their dance. They're quite fun. There's a lot more. For some reason, I wasn't getting them all to res for me, and I wanted to get the pictures done. As you can see, things sweep through and move by. And this little thing here, this thing that looks like a big rectangle, that is something to go visit inside. If you are capable of seeing things move quickly, that will flip you out inside of there. It's quite a vivid show. Then again, cam back, a higher level. Things on the left all scroll across the mesh itself. Again, another place to go and relax. This is the place, Thirza, for Cornflake.
Oh, lovely. Looks beautiful.
And it's a great big jazz style prim that you stand on with piano keys.
That's lovely.
It'll fit the thing, but that's not the jazz thing I'm making for when you do your bit.
Oh,
That's gonna be a
Super.
real trip. And then this is looking through from parts of into Bubble Land. I mean into Dreams of the Dead.
I was just going
See
to
the
say,
skull in the center, yeah. You can, and that little thin rectangle, the line across the skull's head. It's a platform you can stand on and look either way into one var or the other.
it's a funny little anecdote, actually. Oh, you're at the halfway point, so that's good. James pointed out to me earlier that when he comes into the air from our news desk and here, the outline of this region looks like a skull.
Really?
Yes. It's
There are a lot of people that like to do that.
yeah, no, this is completely by accident, but we noticed it, although James noticed it when he moved his camera vertically above us, and it's like, ooh,
Well, there may be more to it than that, James. Be careful.
I'm watching out.
The sinister undertext to the Little Prince. Could be
All right,
that.
and then we're gonna clip back over into Bubble Land. That's on the bubble ride, as you can see. Lots of space,
Oh, I
nice,
see.
calm, easy. They're enjoyable experiences. See, this thing looks massive now. From where I was sitting on it, I've now cammed way back. You get a larger view. And this is what you see when you go on the ride. It just moves around and shows you different perspectives. All of these, again, take the transporters, click on one of the givers to get the landmarks. Just go visit and see things you have not seen before in Opensims. And my answer to anyone is, oh, I've got to press too many buttons. Really? Press the buttons and go visit and have a good
you should
good
create
time.
you should create a few dormitories, rent out the beds and arrange it so that when everybody wakes up, they fall out every day into this environment, and they can never get out of here. I mean, because sometimes get that feeling when you just move, well, am I up, am I down, can I get out, is there any exits, and well, yeah, anyways. trapped in the psychedelic window.
They are actually on Pangea. Lampathola artist is she's got a whole group for people that do videos, Machinima, and they're going to do a documentary on, because they did document the building of all these things.
Yeah.
That and other artists in Pangea also, which might be something you folks might be interested in one day. Then again, back to the landing platform. As you can see, the edges of it are textured. The center's open, but it allows you to stand somewhere and experience it in a different way. So that is the quick and fast, dirty tour of Bubble Land, and my loving partner, Very, who helped the muse for this to be built. She had some input, and it was great. and I'm very happy I did it, and it's there for everyone to experience. Coming soon, immersive, and of course, all those crazy folks on Cornflakeville, come see something that'll fill your bowl with madness.
So when you make bitmap images, are you using a tool like Photoshop or something different?
I
For the
am
textures.
basically a Photoshop master.
Okay.
I've been doing it since it first came out. Actually, originally hacked a version for free and stopped it from linking back to report.
I
Oh, sure.
I used to teach it a long while ago, and originally it was called Tiger Mountain. Do you remember that?
Oh, really? Yeah, I think
Yeah,
I vaguely do.
yeah. Then Adobe bought it, so they had to. It became Adobe's. But the you used to. I think it was the Alt key when you launched it or something. You could get the original credits coming out. God, that's ages ago. It must be about
Ages.
25 years.
Is easily for $10 and I think 87 cents a month. Get it.
Yeah, the whole suite.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
everything, and other things besides, so that it updates automatically. It's an easy bill to swallow, especially if you use it.
And if you don't need it,
you
you
can
can stop. Yeah.
For the $10, I don't miss it.
Yeah. Me either.
When all the world collapsed, when Very and all that happened, I wasn't playing with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was there and it was usable, and I highly suggest it, especially if you're making textures for this type of stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah, and I know
Is this-
Premiere
you-
best, and so just being able to use Premiere makes everything so easy for video.
Yeah, it really, really does. It does make the world better. Now we're looking at Dreams of the Dead video.
Yeah.
I noticed that the color on your screen is different than mine.
Now this would have been. This is filmed on the other screen, not where. I think. I think there's a slight color discrepancy on the other monitor when it comes to. I see something that looks a bit more like magenta when it should be a bit more pillboxy red. It's like
Oh, it should be brilliant red. It should be brilliant fighter
yeah.
red.
No, I'm not talking on yours, but I'm talking in general. I think it's just something like it, I'd say it's a faulty tube if it was the cathode ray tube, but it's not. I can live with it because I do all the where the color's important. I do it all in the business. I love those sparkly things. They're like sparkly fireworks, aren't they?
Right, that's over on Monuments. You're right at the border. So now let me see if you pull back. Yep, that's the border wall. I put those in just so that we could look out of them. That's the platform you can stand on and look into Monuments and Bubble in at the same time. So someone could come here and spend hours if they wanted to. Hours exploring these spaces.
I can tell from the way my camera's going that I was stuck against an Invisibrim here and I couldn't actually move except circular with the camera.
Well, Alt Control and upward key on your keyboard and press hard. That's how I do it.
You can get out of these things eventually, but sort of, it's like short of going to show invisible and then getting more confused. It happens even in the most simple circumstances.
Exactly, but each one of these is a separate art piece, and they're all just combined together. There you go. You're pulling away. Yeah, it's a different world, and there's nothing like it anywhere in virtual worlds. Other people come from Second Life all over Opensims. You should have went inside that little box, and they're like, I've never experienced anything like this. So for those of you that say, oh, I go somewhere and there's no one there, these places are made that it's all right if no one's there. As long as you're there, you'll have a good time visually.
Yeah, it's probably better nobody's there. You'd lose them pretty quick.
True.
Yeah. I wonder, yeah.
And now we're up high enough that we can look across to Day of the Dead and see it.
Yeah.
There's no more blocking of it because it's not as tall an experience as that. Was tall.
Oh, that's right. Right, that's the end of that one. Oh, we've seen this one, right? So, right. A few more we haven't seen yet. This, wow. Yeah, I can't remember where it is. Thirza, have you got any questions for
I'm just in awe. It's also very pretty.
yes, exactly. You want it. It's like it's like it being in a trance, isn't it? You think, oh, I'll just drift away with this.
Yeah, that's right. We're very much looking forward to two events. One is going to be for the annual cornflakes event. Of course, last year Cherry Manga made us a special build
Oh, God, yeah.
for it, which is still above our clubhouse sim. But to do something different this year, instead of going to the cornflakes tribute sim as we often do, we're going to try and encourage everybody to change their avatar, get a cornflakes themed avatar. There are many available on the clubhouse sim, but you can make your own if you like. And then so half of our celebration will be here at Nyx's region, as he's been talking about earlier, and the other half will be over on Cutiolala's sim, which has a similar sort of bright and cheerful and a little bit silly and a little bit mind-blowing. So it should be a really good event. I'm looking forward to it very much. It's very kind of Nyx to step in and make his region available to us for the event.
Yeah.
I am a strong supporter, Thirza, of what you do, Al of what you do, and James of what you do. I think more people should interact, see it, and be part of it. It's great to visit different worlds.
It's us again. That was the clip I found. That box of somewhere, wherever that was.
That's just a skybox, the back of it.
Oh, all right, okay.
I put them so that when you're in there, you don't get that giant wall moving past you so fast.
Got you.
And Thirza, could you give the link of the drop to where to get the costumes for Cornflake? I didn't think I heard you say that.
Yes, it's on our clubhouse sim. So if you come here to OS Grid and you just come to HG Safari, you'll see close to where we usually sit around, you'll see a store called Meshanthropy. And upstairs in that, there are 5 or 6 different avatars that were made originally by Cornflakes that you can wear. And then there's various suits and dresses and all kinds of his toys are available that you can grab. They're all made free to copy, obviously not to be sold on, but they're available for the whole community. Yes, he made so many fun things. It's such a shame that we no longer have him with us because he was a real joy, so innovative. Back in the days, of course, before Prims could be mesh. And so everything he did was made with the old-fashioned way.
Well, there's not a thing wrong with the old-fashioned way. I still do a lot of Prim building. It's definitely enjoyable to do. So, Mal, any more questions?
So now I'm going into trance mode, aren't I? Oh,
It's it's what these are. Like, look at how different that is. You could stand on that platform. Those things revolve and move and change.
yeah.
So it's just a different effect. Being up high, you can back away from them, but being in the center of it as they move around you, it is mesmerizing. It's honestly, everyone comes away with, it was so relaxing. I enjoyed it. It just takes away the thoughts that are going on in your mind and lets you enjoy something that, as Thurza had said earlier, it's pretty. It is pretty. It's different, and it's just, it's imagination let loose in a virtual world. And that's what I think virtual worlds should be. They should be bigger than life because we can make them that way.
absolutely. And it's sort of it's in Second Life. It used to be called not possible in real life. That's when you come across things like that, you can just say that you can never get this in real life. It needs.
It's
This is
expensive to
unique.
do
This is
this.
well, expensive is
Yeah.
the word.
Yeah.
Hollywood
It's
Hollywood dollars makes these things in real life.
yeah, yeah.
But
I,
I was able to pull it off in a gallery in Boston,
oh, okay.
projecting these. That's what our Opensim conference, community conference talk was that Very and I did. We did, whatchamacallit, Dreams of the Dead. We filmed all that and showed it. And we had 120 plus people come to the gallery. It was a great time. And we streamed
Yeah,
back live from the gallery into our avatars.
I was watching a film earlier today. I nearly ran it, but there's a Dali exhibition opened in London here. It's totally immersive. The wall, you've got paintings, on the walls, and then
Yep,
suddenly the things are popping out of the walls, and it's
yep,
not just it's just not like the lion, the tiger jumping out of the painting, because you know what Dali's paintings are like,
exactly. He melted out
yeah, exactly, sort of.
and then slid across the floor and rezzed up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. Now,
that's big here in the States too.
all right, where's that clock walking to now? Dripping off the table, It's just, oh, I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get to that at some point, but yeah.
So there's a bunch of these. There's someone from the Stark Grid just reached out. They're going to do a thing to help people, the challenge with issues that individuals could have, and they're asking if we could do something commemorative of Very, but also based upon which it would be just totally relaxing experience to go be part of and enjoy. So we're going to work on that. And there's actually another grid owner that wants another piece of these out. So I'm open to do that. I like my art to get around, let people see it and experience it somewhere where they don't know anything about me or anything maybe about you guys because they're new or they're just so stuck in what they do, the rut of every day. I go to my land, I do this, and then I go to the
Yeah.
club. And I go to the club. It's just a couple of clicks away, and you see a whole new world of what can be available to you in a virtual space.
Oh,
Here we are. There you go. You found it.
this was the
With a
final.
dancing
This was
inside.
the final clip when you gave me the landmark to get back there.
This is where we had the Bubble Land party. Ended up moving from the skybox into the dance ball. So that's my 2 bits.
Yeah, and that's well. This is wonderful. Oh God, I recognise that silhouette.
And I want to thank you guys. Thank you, James, Mal,
You bet.
Thurza. I want to thank Marlon and Lampy over on Pangea for giving me these spaces to allow me to create this type of art.
Yeah.
I want to thank Cliff and Kat over on Light Effects to helping me keep my sim workable with all the crap because my land's majorly detailed down below. Thurza can attest to that. You walk through it,
It's true.
it's like a real life experience.
Yes.
It's
I like these winged, whatever they were. Is it like,
And I want to thank all the people that assisted me when I faced the challenge of losing Very, and everyone that came to the memorial for that and has placed up memorials in her honor. I ask you all to come see Bubba Land. It was the last art piece that she got to do. And I look forward to the future and with people that are helping me now get through things because I never really experienced anything like that before in my life. It was very difficult.
great. I still can't wait to see what's going to be coming next, quite frankly.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
All I got to say is I'm glad I came back into Open Sims. I had left for about 3.5, 4 years.
Yeah.
Focus more on the real life world, and glad I did.
Yeah.
It's a great place to be. It's a great place
We
to
are glad
explore.
we are glad you did too. With stuff like this, it's just
And
so,
I'm going to make a commitment Thursday to you that I will come visit the tours more often.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
always be welcome.
it'd be fun.
I
well,
will. Okay.
we're going to close in a minute by looking back at the last 3, 4 safaris very briefly. So do stay with us. And were you at any of them recently?
Sorry?
Were you at any of the safaris recently? Last couple of weeks? I can't forget. I think.
No, I've. What happened with Very, I sort of pulled away and then I started focusing on immersive and it was therapeutic,
Yeah.
is really what it was. There's a bunch of places that Very and I had been in, other people had been in, and people that have supported me, anywhere from Terry or Derry or Cliff and Cat or Passion that all reached out, or Orb or Plan or Webby or Rain, all those people reached out and had similar experiences in their life with the challenge, and it all helped. So I will say that Open Sims, besides being a place to go do clubs and do that, is a community.
Hmm.
And I invite the community across all of it. Come visit and experience what individuals do, why they're here, and have a good time. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, thank you too. Do stay with us for 10, 20 minutes or something while we just look back and feel free to
I
comment.
will gladly do that.
I'll hand over most of this to Thirza. We're now looking at hgsafari.blogspot.com and basically the last four, no, hang on, yeah, we had four stops, two safaris, if you see what I mean. And yeah, these are just basically pictures from Thurza's blog. So maybe this is Liko and the Never Ending Circus. So do you want to chat briefly about this?
Yes, a few weeks ago we went to see Yeko's sim. She's a French artist. In real life, she teaches art and she paints. And in the virtual, she builds sims like this one. And we visited as the safari group, but I was unable to complete the visit with her. And so I went back just a few days ago, and we just had a lovely time just chatting together. And she was telling me all about how this sim came to be. She's, like so many people, had many sims come and go where the grid has suddenly disappeared right underneath her. So right now this is in Barefoot Dreamers. But she has a beautiful sim over on Serenity Grid, which if you've never seen Serenity Grid, it's magnificent. And so it's just the story of her experience in World. She calls this, it's like the film Never Ending Story, because for her, creativity is never ending. And even when things get broken or lost or sims disappear, you can still, you carry your creativity with you to the next place. And it's very pretty. It's an Italian style place, so I like it a lot.
Yeah, it look lovely in the slides there. So
Yes.
if you want to read more about these, as well as looking at the pictures, you want to go to hgsafariblogspot.com. The next one, we actually had two visits. Well, no, they weren't both Wales. One bit was England, one bit was Wales, if I recall.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
this is big fun in Little Wales. This one was. There we are. So yeah, welcome Hypergrid Safari, of course.
That's right, Croeso. Yes. So this, of course, is Suzanne Avenside, who's a very proud Welsh lady, and her sim, again, very familiar sight there, Cofiwch. So you've got all the streets of Wales. She's a great fan of the Welsh language, which is a beautiful language. If you don't know it at all, it's worth learning a little bit of it because it's incredibly poetic. And this is her sim, which is a sort of mini Wales. It has a lot of fantasy elements as well, but many of the things are taken from real life, and some of them even from things that she remembers from back in the day in Second Life. So we had a lovely time. I think James managed to sit on the cage with the Lindens,
I
which
did.
is
I couldn't get inside though.
charming. No, I noticed that myself. Yeah. So all the signage is in Welsh, which of course, if you go to Wales, that's exactly how it is. And there's a chapel right there. All the classic sites that you would see if you went to, especially South Wales, is very familiar. And it was just a delightful time. And we had Ernest with us, and he knows just enough Welsh to get by and sound incredibly intellectual. So his quote is the first line. So yeah, it's very pretty. This was before I stupidly changed my viewer. There were all the messages saying to change your Firestorm viewer to the most modern version, which is to me always an immense mistake. And of course, immediately afterwards, I have no preset environments anymore. So
Oh,
thank you, Firestorm, for screwing me over once again. So I shall be going back to Singularity, which always works without any fuss, bells, or whistles, and quite immediately.
Well, remember in Second Life how they do the updates? You always had to wait at least 6-7 weeks
But absolutely,
to see
well,
how
I'm
many
100%
mistakes there were. Yeah.
exactly. And I'm not a fan. I was never a fan of Firestorm. I don't know how I got dragged back into it. So I'm going to be going back to Singularity because it just always works, and nobody tries
That
to
was
make
the best
anything
builder.
fancy. So
That was
anyway,
the
this
best
second
builder.
one is Ruritania. That's the name of the sim. She made it. That's an English person, and so it's very much on the style of England. Um, it's a vintage England, very pretty. So she took us around the sim. There's an awful lot on the sim. There were many beautiful buildings and so forth, but really the point of the sim is that it's a set of it's kind of a game in a way, because the idea is that there are all kinds of little tableau around the sim that suggest either TV shows or movies. If you're English, it's a little easier perhaps, because some of the things I don't think cross the Atlantic. But it's really charming to go around and try and figure out what is being meant by the various things. She's got lots of NPCs in there. I have to say hats off to Walter, because really there was no lag, even though we were chasing across that sim at the speed of light. I don't think any of us experienced it. I don't know. Did you,
No, not at
James?
all. No, it was great.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was really phenomenal, considering how much was going on there.
look at that.
Compile
to
and
be,
click
of
them off.
course.
I'm laughing at the shop
Of,
type.
of course, yeah. It's a very nice, very sophisticated English humour. Of course, there's Abert and the hardware shop from the two Ronnies and Steptoe and Son, of course. There you go. So, if you're familiar with English TV or films, even starting, I think, around 1949, I think is the earliest one she's got, but all kinds of stuff from the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, and so forth. And some beautiful builds, and a lot of the buildings are her own work. So she's an artist. It's pretty.
What's it say on the wall?
Get my free uniform. Stockings and just
Yes,
yeah. I
I
wonder,
had to take a shot of you because it looked like you were the one heartbeat away from putting on that outfit.
Right, right.
Do you have
Just
them on
imagining
underneath,
him.
Mel? Mel, do
He
you have
might.
them on
Oh
underneath?
gosh,
well, could.
you can't say. A gentleman never says.
Of course not.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what was
So
that?
all kinds
Waverly
of fun
Towers?
things.
These pictures are something else. I
It's from a famous film, Nyx. I really encourage you to go and take a look. You'll enjoy it. It's very.
Oh, I'm
It's
definitely
an
coming to see this.
it's an intellectual build, but it's also it's an adult build. So there's there's all kinds of fun going on the sim.
Like the bed in the air.
Yeah, lots of fun. And we had a great time. I didn't get a huge amount of pictures because, as you see, sadly, I couldn't get the good sky anymore. And so I was kind of fighting with the viewer as we were going around. But she's mixed up also some things that are from her own real life. For example, the picture of the train station is where she used to take the train when she was working. She was a teacher. And now we're looking at the bit where you'll see a very famous English film called Brief Encounter, which is a love
I
story.
remember that.
Yes, and so she's created that. That's just one of the many, many, like I say, about 30 different movies that you can identify as you go around. It's very charming. It was a bit
I'm
of a rush
amazed you
though,
don't have a.
because she tried
Go
to,
ahead.
and rightly so, show us everything. But I would like to give a plea to anybody who has a Safari. Uh, your sim is wonderful, and there is no way in the world that you could show us everything in an hour. It's much better for us and much better for you if you focus on a couple of things and show us those, and then we can come back and see the rest. Otherwise, it's a bit of a blur. I don't know if James and Mal would agree, but there is, not in this case so much, but in other cases, I have no idea what was going on in this sim. It hadn't rezzed, and they were already rushing us off to the
Off
next
to
bit.
somewhere else. Yeah.
And
This wasn't so bad,
since
and it was the thing.
no, it was not quite so bad, no. But the
Well, it
problem is
was
you cannot type and walk. So if
also,
somebody wants to ask you a question, they have to stop. And they can't, so it's a sort of a, and if they're trying to take pictures also, it's a problem. If you keep rushing off, they can't get a picture of you because you've already gone by the time they've got you in the frame. So please, a plea to all those who want to be Safari hosts, please just take your time. We can always come back.
this one in particular was actually incredibly flat. There was a lot of empty
Yes,
flat land.
yes,
We
yes.
went from the hospital, and then it's like
That's true. I hadn't thought
mile
about that.
section. So there was actually, it was actually just able, I think, to get to all the places she wanted to take us. It did run over a bit, but I think a bit of it was traipsing across from one to the other. But at least
Well,
it never felt cluttered.
exactly.
It
No,
wasn't.
it's not cluttered. No, nothing to do with it. The sim is lovely, but it's just that, um, and people often suggest to me, well, why don't you make it much longer? The
Oh,
safari,
yeah.
but sadly,
What's
people don't have all day,
No.
and maybe they can come back and see a bit at a time, and they'll get more out of it too.
And
So here
also,
we are. Yeah,
also
sorry. Go ahead.
you can't please everybody all the while. So sometimes
No,
even
well,
I
I
will
just
be on
please
I'll
myself, and then
be
everybody
on.
can
Yeah,
manage around me.
exactly. So if I don't particularly like a visitor safari, I'll just step out for that little bit and then come back for the
Well,
next.
exactly. And
If
that's
it was
really why there are
long,
two destinations to give
yeah,
everybody. Not everything is going to appeal to everyone, but that way there's a chance that either one or the other of the builds will be just up your alley. So
sure.
that's why we go to two places. So this was Dorina's birthday party, Dorina of Dorina's World. Her name is Dorina Verne, and she is a sweetie. And the party was organised by her and Anna Cron Young, who started the grid with her 13 years ago. And again, the picture is not super because, as I say, I was using that viewer. But if you don't know, Dorina's World, again, is a very, very detailed, very fast grid. It's interesting the contrast between Dorina's World and Littlefield, because Dorina's World they try and put all the regions together so that it's walkable, and on Littlefield grid they try to keep the sims separately because they feel that that makes for a better performance when sims are not contiguous and you, with a very high draw distance set, are loading objects that are not in a sim that you're standing on. So it's just so interesting how different people have different tactics for overcoming situations. Grid Talk, Anacron told me something really interesting about this. That started 13 years ago. At the same time as Dorina's World, but it's not connected to Dorina's World. It's another man who made it, and his name is mentioned in the post. And basically, it's a forum for German speakers, and it's so easy to forget that if you speak English, you could find lots and lots of people who will help you, and you can understand them. But what if you're a German speaker or a Spanish speaker, especially when you need technical help? If English isn't your first language, advice can be really hard to understand. So
Yeah.
anyway, they started this group a long time ago, and it's thrived. It's 13 years old, just the same as Dorina's World, which is now the oldest German grid in Opensim, of course. Now
Yeah.
that Metropolis is no more.
All right. And another nice panorama there.
Yeah, that's it. We've been to that build many years ago on Safari.
And this was our final stop. Crazy
Yeah,
like a fox, as they say.
nice
So
birds. And a
yeah.
wonderful man. Yeah, he's a sweetie. He's got the same avatar he had when he came.
Oh,
It's
this
built
is
for a long.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult build to has been a difficult build to bring everybody to because he has a home server and it wasn't very strong, but he incredibly kindly um, got a new server so we could come and visit him, and so
Wow.
we tested it
Yeah, it worked
this week.
well. It worked great.
Didn't it?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Oh, it was fantastic. And I love the building. I like that main complex
Yes,
so much.
exactly.
Somebody mentioned it had a James Bond feel or something.
Does, doesn't it?
Um,
Yes.
yeah, but it was smooth. I was coming around, and of course, it's quite big when you get inside and go to the back and stuff. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a nice
It's
build.
his lair.
Yes.
It is
It's
exactly
there.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's his lair. That is
And I
so
love the way
cool.
that there's this blue part of the build, and if you go on the other side, it's red. So it's the fantastic contrast in the build. Of course, he made all this many years ago, and he's been increasing it over the years. But he's an old bee, like myself, and his his generosity to OS Grid is really phenomenal because he's one of the admin. Of course, they're volunteers and they have to put up with a lot of nonsense, as well as the joy of helping some people really solve problems. But I'm thinking most of it is nonsense. And
There's
this
a
is the
lot of
sim
that.
his wife made, that she came in for 1 week only, all those years ago, and never came back.
Well, she did something. Leave
Yeah,
her mark.
exactly. Yeah. So it's a tribute to all those partners who put up with those of us who were in Opensim when they chose a different road. So, and there he is with that enormous spliff
Joined,
that
yeah.
never goes out. I've known him now, what, I want to say 13 years, and that's never gone out all that time.
Remarkable
Powerful stuff.
how durable some things
Good
in
Lord.
virtual worlds are.
Panic.
That
Yes, so that's the other half.
was
Yeah.
really out of place, but never mind.
Back in the day. Yeah.
The dragon on the roof.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. Oh,
Yes, it's just,
that's
it's
a nice
charming.
gift. That's a really nice gift. You just got the
And
whole.
it's so nice that now it will be much more visitable, so maybe he will um, start having a party or two again. Because back in the day when there weren't that many people, it was easy to have events. Of course, people's outfits were not so complicated and
Oh,
costly on the system.
then they discovered hair.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
it's not so much the
Yeah.
hair, it's the crazy mesh
It,
bodies.
well, it was before. Yeah, I used to play, who had the most highest rating for Avatar.
So, uh,
This is just on film with the same thing, including the bit at the back there. So
that's right, exactly. So, OS Grid is often penalised by the Safari. It seems people say that to me sometimes. You never come here. It's mostly because we always try to do two different grids each week, and so OS Grid has a lot of destinations, but it's one amongst many grids. But this season we went here, and we'll be going to see Caro Fayray shortly. So that'll be another build, and we're going on National Compliment Day. So everybody has to be incredibly nice. It's beautiful. It'll be easy to be complimentary because she's a sweetheart and beautiful
Oh, yeah.
sis.
Caro's stuff is great.
this is just more.
Oh,
We
you
have.
did. Oh, you did some filming. That's great. Look at
Oh yeah,
that.
I've got the film here. We haven't got time to show it all. I know that about I've got 5 minutes time. James is going to let off the special effects.
Yes, he is.
I'm racing against time here. Then we might
5 minutes. I see 20 seconds.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's because I said it, isn't it? Yeah, and then some dumb thing here, of course. That was the. But yeah, I filmed all these, but they'll have to wait for another day. So, but you've seen them in Thursday's photos just now, anyway. So just try to think if there's anything I captured that we didn't. Yeah, you can see what I meant about being spaced out. That lots of green grass between the cricket ground and the neighbouring buildings and everything. Yeah. No, I think that's. Ooh, nothing on that one. What's it? Who knows? Okay, well, I think we looked at everything. I know there's a bit more, but I will say, James. I mean, it's that sound effect is going to end up being our closing theme.
Kind of already is.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's normally an alert, but actually, if it comes on now, it's perfect timing. But no,
no,
we don't
no.
really need it. We don't need it, basically. Okay, folks. Well, it's time where we come to the end of another show, and I think the total running time of this show is about right.
Yep.
Almost right, I should say. No alerts here. So, do remember, of course, that if you want more about the Hypergrid Safari stops, go to hgsafari.blogspot.com. And if you want to join us, you just join us. It's every Wednesday, and you go to OS Grid, which is the name of the sim it's all on. And the region you want is HG and then space Safari. So it's HG space Safari. And that will take you to the clubhouse. Now you want to get there at, a good few minutes before noon on Wednesday. And we then give out landmarks, or the Thursday gives out landmarks where all the places we're going are. And we then travel around as a group. And who's to say what locations we're going to? I don't know whether you don't want to reveal all, do you? Say, oh, actually, you put the invite out, didn't you? Where are we going?
Yes, yeah. Okay, so the first place we're going to is Bridgemere. And we're going to meet up with Harry Thor, who was on this show a few months back.
Yeah.
He has they met together and they chose which region they would like to feature this time, and it'll be a different one next time. But this time they chose the Atlantis sim, which is made by Amara. And so we'll be seeing that. And then the second stop, as many people know, Second Life has lost the Star Trek people, and it's lost the Amazonian role play people. And it appears now they're beginning to lose the Burning Man people, because they're all going over to Groovyverse. And so we're going to go and see only a little bit, of what they're getting up to over there on Groovyverse. It'll be the Burning Man regions. That'll be our second stop. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
That's a long time, that Burning Man. I remember
Yeah,
Second
yeah.
Life participating as the second one they did with that.
I've seen a couple
Sure.
of films. I've seen a couple of films of stuff going on this week, and I assumed it was Second Life. I didn't actually have a look to see if it was actually Opensim, so maybe I should have done from the point of view of our coverage. Anyway, that's it for this week. I'd like to thank James for doing all the technical wizardry. Thank you, James.
Certainly, Mal.
Like to thank Thirza for co-hosting as ever, and beautiful husky voice this week, but for obvious reasons, I don't wish it to last, because I gather that's probably not the thing.
I'll be back to my usual ugly non-Barry White voice next week. I promise.
And last but not least, of course, I'd like to thank Nyx Breen, who's well, you've seen the show, you've been watching it all. That fantastic sights and not sounds on this occasion, but we've been in a trance for 90 minutes, haven't we? So there you go. So thank you, Nick.
Well,
and may more.
thank you very much. And in honor of Thurza's voice, I'll use my real voice and say I'm glad I was part of all this and showing off the art on my on my
Very,
open sims.
I don't
Very
know about
good.
real voice, but that was real corny.
What? You saying a Boston accent's hard? You don't like it? We think it's wicked. Wicked
No,
piss
Wicked
off.
hard.
I was thinking the play on the word art and past. That was never mind.
Uh-huh.
Never
Can you
mind.
just can you guys just sing a Barry White song instead of fighting about accents?
That's
Barry
no
White?
problem.
What does Barry White sound like?
Deep voice like Thurza's.
I've got
Uh, You're such a charmer, Nick.
I've got
The first, my
voice.
last,
There's no-
my everything.
No woman
Right.
can resist a man who describes her as being just like Barry White. So,
Just her voice, deep and
Love
rich.
with my deep, deep voice.
where's
I don't know
that?
if that sounds
Where's
like
that
Barry,
alarm
but-
bell when we need
Yeah.
it, James?
I'll start the
Okay.
ticking. There it's ticking.
Ding, ding,
Yes,
ding.
okay, I'm going to trigger it on this old time. Ah! Evacuate immediately.
Right.
We will see you next week, assuming we're let back into
A
the
beer,
building.
a beer.
If
That's
we
all,
are let
folks.
back into the building, we'll be back next week.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. And oh yeah, I've forgotten the important thing. Have a very good morning. Have a very good afternoon. Have a very good evening. But have a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. And we're out of here.
Be part of it. Bye.